Good morning, guys. It is Amy Bennett with the AM Show. So glad you're here. A few things to chat about. First of all, I did go get my blood drawn yesterday. I won't have the results for a couple days, so I'll keep you updated. What happens there? Let's see, what else? Today is Tuesday, which means it's a new Feathers podcast day. I am so excited about today because it is Jennifer Dukes Lee. She is my guest, and she's just a fantastic person in general. We have met online. She's a blogger, writer. She's got 3 books out. Her latest book is It's All Under Control. Clearly my speech is not under control this morning. So she's got a new book out that we do chat about, but she and I met last summer at the She Speaks conference, and she's just so genuine. She lives on a farm with her husband in, I think, Iowa, and just good homegrown person. I mean, she's just fantastic. Actually, the lady that helps me with the podcast, she messaged me after she listened and got all the quotes together, and she said this was so fantastic. She said I should have just transcribed the whole thing because I was finding so many quotes. So let her words speak for it. Like, she thought it was a really good episode. So hopefully you guys can check her out. I see Marie, she just said, I just got her book. I'm going to need a new bookshelf with all the recommendations you share. I know! So that's what I actually literally have to keep, Scott has to keep doing. So in my office right here, he built one of these, I don't know if you might be able to see it actually right there. And if you've been on my Instagram, I put it on there, but I had him build a shelf. We had some extra wood, so I had him build a shelf that's like this far. It's like right above the windows, and it's about this far from the top, and it goes all the way from wall to wall. And then that wasn't enough, so I had him build, when I started getting more books, I had him build another shelf on the other side of the room that's wall to wall, and that one is already half full. One of the benefits, I would call it, of being a podcaster is you get all the books for free. So the publishers send those to you for review, and so there's a lot of books I don't even get a chance to talk about because I'm talking about the ones that I'm sharing. So anyway, yeah, if you ever need a book, more books for your bookshelf, Marie, let me know. And I know Marie has borrowed some of my books before. So anyway, good morning, Sherry, Nancy, Marie, Jenny. Thanks, guys, for joining. So yes, it's Feathers Podcast Day, and Jenny's episode came out last Tuesday, and it was so fantastic. So if you still haven't had a chance to listen to that one is a really great one to listen to too. Okay, so let's chat about today. So this is what came to mind actually this weekend that I really wanted to share with you. It was, I don't know, good morning, Leighton. I'll sneak that in before I start talking. This weekend, one of the things, if you follow me on my personal Instagram account, if you want to do that, it's Bennett AJ. Bennett AJ is my personal Instagram, and I don't post a whole lot on my feed, but I do like to do Instagram stories sometimes. I get on a kick where I like Instagram my story like my whole day, or it's just like nothing, or you get it all or you get nothing. Anyway, so this past Saturday I was on there and I was sharing. Scott decided, I took Emma, she had an appointment on Saturday, and I took her to the appointment. I came back, and this entire backyard was covered in branches because Scott had decided that our tree needed to be trimmed. Let me show you. Let me see if I can gently, our poor corner, like we never can get grass to grow right here because of the tree and the shade in our hammock. But this tree, like all the branches were like sitting on our fence. They were like, I don't know if you can tell, but there were like notches here where branches were coming out. And so he trimmed, and so he went up with it. That's all the branches were like hanging down low, so when you would walk, it would hit you in your head. So he trimmed that up, and I was just so reminded of John 15, and if you don't know, Abiding Ministries is birthed out of John 15, where he talks about the vine and the branches. And so I've done, if you haven't done my study, I have a Bible study on John 15. You can get it through abidingministries.net. It's called Rich, and it walks through. It's a 7-week video study, and then I have a companion devotional with it. But so I talk about this in one of the videos, but it just reminded me so much of what God does with pruning in our lives. And so it brought me back to this part of the verse. It says, he prunes every branch that produces fruit so that it will produce. I'm in the CSB, guys, so I'm trying to say it with the NIV instead of reading the CSB, because I know it by heart in NIV, so it's hard to read. This is what I'm saying. It's like my brain automatically wants to finish sentences in NIV, and then I have to actually read the CSB. So it's really, for me, it's been a harder transition than I thought. Okay, so this one says he prunes every branch that produces fruit so that it will produce more fruit. And so here is what I have learned the past couple years, is that sometimes God will take something good out of your life. It's true. He will take something that is producing fruit and that is good and is not bad. And I think before I worked from the assumption that if God was taking something out of my life, then I must have done something wrong. Something bad must be happening with it. So God had to take it out of my life. And what I have learned is that God will take something out of your life that is producing fruit so that you can produce more fruit. And I saw this, and they do this with, and I actually looked this up, the whole pruning process with actual plants, and specifically with vines. And they talk about that, why does a gardener prune? One, we obviously know this is easy. He prunes the branches that have no fruit, right? He just gets rid of those. Easy, we understand those, but the thing that we don't get is that a gardener will go in and take off branches that already have fruit on them. Why would you do that? And what the gardener knows is that when they cut back the good branches, that the plant itself as a whole will produce more fruit. And so as a whole, it is doing good. And the other thing that surprised me is that sometimes one of the reasons that they'll prune a branch on a plant that is actually producing fruit is that so that the branches underneath that good branch will get more light. So it's not really about the branch that has the fruit, it's about the branch under it that needs more light. And so for me, when I think about that, I think about that it could be, we're pruning branches that are good in our own lives, maybe because we can't. So I think sometimes we can have, if you just picture a tree or whatever that has all kind of fruit on it, and it's all good. It's producing fruit, but it's but the light can't get through. The light can't get through. And I think sometimes we get, and if you relate that to our lives, we have things that are all good in our lives. We're not doing anything wrong, but it's hard to let the light in, if you will, into our lives. And that it gets harder and harder as it produces more fruit and it gets more busy. It's harder and harder for the light to get in. And I just think that's so relative to our own lives, is that sometimes we get so busy doing good things that we lose the light in our own lives, and then we get too busy and we don't have time to be with the Lord and actually abide, and so I think sometimes it's about us, in that we got to prune some good things so that we are light and free and we have time to be with the Lord. But I think sometimes, if you imagine, and this is a little bit different metaphor, if you will, a tree as in the body of Christ, and we're each different branches, that sometimes he'll prune one branch, so he'll prune us so that the light can get to somebody else. So it's really not about, what God is doing is really not about us at all. It's about another person, and so that the light can get to them. So there's sometimes he'll take something good out of our lives so you can produce more fruit that actually is going to let God's light shine right through you. And just to give a little example of that is that I've seen in my own life is that I don't know if you guys know, but I have been writing on blogs since 2002. It's been 16 years that I've been in the blogging world. I was on a blog before people even knew what the word blog was. So 2002, I was saying I had a blog, and people were just like, what is that? I had no idea what a blog was. I would have to say, it's kind of like a web and a log, a journal, on the web. So it's like a blog. I would literally have these conversations. People did not know what they were. So I have been writing, and it has changed. It had changed over the year. I began writing because I was pregnant with Emma, and I just wanted to document my pregnancy and all of that. So anyway, so I was writing. It had changed, and by the time we adopted in 2014, I had felt like my blog had become Christ focused, and I was writing about the Lord and writing about my faith, and I finally felt like I was in a good headspace with blogging, because there had been some yucky days with blogging that I was striving and trying to please people and all this. So I finally felt like I was like in a good space with blogging, and God said shut it down. And in the way that it looked is that I could not write. I would sit down to write, and the words would not come. The words would not come. And I did this for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then I was finally out of town for work, and it was completely shut down. Like the words would not just come to me at all. And I just felt like the Lord was saying, shut it down, stop writing. And what I didn't realize was that was right when my podcast was starting. And what I realized looking back now is that God was pruning something that was actually fruitful. Maybe it didn't have a ton of fruit, but it was fruitful. It was doing something good. He was taking that out of my life so I could make space for the podcast and to be able to produce fruit for others, for myself. It's changed me, believe me. 3.5 years of sorry guys, podcasting has changed me, has changed my faith, and it has also blessed other people. There has been more fruit. And so for me, this is an example of, you take these, and just like this tree that I'm looking at, you take the low-hanging branches that are good, they're healthy, they're alive, and you take them off, and you allow the tree as a whole. It's not a fruit-producing tree, so that doesn't make any sense. But you allow the plant as a whole to be healthier and produce more fruit. So all of that to say, I don't know what God might be doing in your life, but I have to believe that for some of us, that He may be taking something good, it might be pruning something good out of your life so He can make you even more fruitful. So I just want to confirm that work in your life, if that speaks to you. For some people, that's not going to be where God has you right now. But for some of you, that is where God has you right now. That He's taking something good out of your life. It's not anything bad. I just want to confirm too that you're not doing anything wrong. It's not being taken away because you've done something wrong, or it's producing bad fruit or whatever. He will take something that's good out of your life so that He can make both you and I think others more fruitful. I think God does all of that, right? I think God is amazing enough to make you more fruitful, make others more fruitful, and it really builds up the body of Christ all together. So I just want to confirm that work in your life this morning, and I hope that's helpful as you kind of journey on this crazy thing called, I don't know, what do you call it? Christianity, faith? Yeah, it's an adventure, isn't it? Okay, I see a question. Kathy asks, what is the name of the book and who wrote it? Okay, I think you probably are meaning the one that I started with. Jennifer Dukes Lee wrote It's All Under Control. That's the one. If there's another one that you're thinking of, let me know. I talked about my Bible study called Rich. It's available on abidingministries.net. Anyway, so let me say good morning. I see that Stephanie joined. Good morning, Stephanie. Kathy joined. Obviously, I just spoke to her, and Stevie joined. Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining. Anyway, so yep, it's podcast day. So exciting day, and I am just so thankful that God is a good gardener. God is a good gardener. He is a good father. He is a good vine dresser. He knows what to do, and it's, as I look back, man, I would not trade doing this podcast for anything these past couple years, and it's been such a blessing to me. And honestly, what I always ever wanted from my blog is he's done it through the podcast and actually this morning show, because I get to still share some of my real life with you guys, which I love. I hope that's okay with you guys. It's not, you know, a little bit of my life in here, real life. So anyway, yeah, I think that's it for today. Do I have anything? I don't think I have anything. Tuesday nights usually are pretty low key for us, so probably just eating at home this evening. Probably doing, I think we've got some studying to do. We have homework to do tonight. Anyway, okay guys, I hope you are, oh, and by the way, I just want to share, I don't know if you guys saw in the comments yesterday that there might be apple picking in other places. So we have Scott's off again this weekend, so we might have to do a day trip somewhere to an apple orchard that actually still has apples. So there's still hope, guys. There's still hope that I might be able to pick some apples. Anyway, so if you know of one that is within driving distance of Charlotte, that is still has some apples, I would love to hear about it. So anyway, okay guys, I am going to hop off here, get my day started. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining. I love you guys. Bye.